Hello children. Today we are going to discuss about force and pressure, that is chapter 8. Previously I have uploaded one video regarding force. So we learnt about force and its effects and also types of forces, different types of forces. So we know force is a push or pull that tends to change the state of an object. Yes? State of an object in the sense, object can be at rest or it can be in the uniform motion. So here, the natural state of any object is rest, and the object will change its rest position only when a force is acting on it, only when it is pushed or pulled or lifted or dropped, any of these things. Then the force is acting on the body. As a result, the body either comes into motion, or if it is already in the motion, uniform motion, then it will stop, it can stop. So here we learned what a force can do and how many types of forces are there. Basically, we divided the force into two types, contact forces and non-contact forces. In the contact forces, we discussed about the objects interact with each other only when they are in physical contact. The contact is very much required between the two bodies. For example, here I am holding the chalk piece. I am applying my muscular force where my fingers are in contact with the chalk piece holder. As a result, I am able to hold this. If my fingers are not in contact with the chalk piece holder, I cannot hold it. Yes, it will drop down. The body will drop down because of the non-contact force, that is gravitational force, that we learned already. Okay, so here we have different types of forces, contact forces, non-contact forces. Under contact forces, we discussed about muscular force, friction, normal reaction and tension. So these are the four different types of contact forces. Under non-contact forces, we discussed about three. One is the gravitational force, second electrostatic force, third magnetic force. Okay, so we have taken various examples also where we can use all these three types of forces. Okay, other than these contact and non-contact forces, even we discussed about balanced and unbalanced forces. That means to say here, a body can be acted upon by many number of forces simultaneously. Means at the same time, a body can experience different forces from different directions. Then, what is the net force acting on the body? Net force in the sense the resultant of all these forces which are acting on the body. Okay, so here, what is the net force acting on the body? If for example, if all the forces are acting in different directions, are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, let us suppose, then all these forces cancel each other's effect. As a result, the net force on the body will be zero. So, though there are many forces are acting, the net force is zero on the body. As a result, there won't be any change in the state of a body. For example, I am standing here. Let us suppose two children are holding my hands and pulling me towards themselves with equal and opposite forces. Then what will be the net force on me? Zero. As a result, is there any change in my state of position? No, it won't be. That means to say, these forces where the resultant of all these is zero are called balanced forces, and these balanced forces will never bring any change in the state of an object. Whereas, if they are unbalanced, there are so many forces acting on a body but they are not balanced, means they are not cancelling each other's effect. Let us suppose in the previous example itself, there are two children holding my hands and pulling me towards themselves. Let us suppose one side a person is applying more force, on the other side the person is applying less force. then obviously I will move towards the larger force. Yes, that means that these two forces are acting opposite in direction but with unequal magnitudes. As a result, there will be a change in the state of the body and the body tends to move towards the larger force. That means that these are unbalanced forces. So, unbalanced forces, in the case of unbalanced forces, the net force on the body is not equal to 0. So, it will bring some effect in the body. It can change the state of an object. So, whatever effects of forces we discussed previously, all these effects of forces are nothing but the effects of unbalanced forces. Okay, so only unbalanced forces can bring a change in the state of an object. So we discussed about various effects like a force can change the state of a body, a force can move a body from its rest position, a force can stop a moving body, a force can speed up or slow down a body. Speeding up, slowing down is nothing but it can accelerate a body. So whenever unbalanced forces are acting on a body, it can accelerate the body. Okay. So not only this, these forces can change the direction of motion of a body. For example, a body is moving straight, and if it wants to take the turning, then we have to apply an unbalanced force. So this unbalanced force can bring a change in the direction of motion of a body. So not only here, even we can see some effects like if you take a paper like this. Okay, so the paper is having certain size and certain shape. Okay, like this. If I tear it, I am able to tear, then there will be a change in the size of the paper. Okay, so when I am tearing it, I am applying muscular force. So with the help of this force, there is a change in the size of the paper. Similarly, I can change the shape of the body also, like I am applying again muscular force here, so that the plain paper now became the crumpled. So unbalanced force can bring a change in the size and shape of the body, and particularly even balanced forces can bring a change in the shape of the body only. For example, if you hold a balloon in your hands and holding it like this, a balloon, an inflated balloon, then when you press it from both sides with equal and opposite, like balanced forces, two forces are acting in the opposite directions but both are balanced, then because I am pressing it, definitely there will be a change in the shape of the balloon. Or I can stretch it with equal and opposite forces. Though they both are balanced, but it can bring a change in the shape of a body. So balanced forces can bring only change in the shape of the body, but it cannot bring a change in the state of the body. Whereas unbalanced forces can definitely bring various changes in the body. So these changes are called as effects of forces. So here, this effect of force depends on two factors. So here, effect of force depends on two factors. One is force acting on a body. Second one is area of the body on which the force is acting. So here these two are the factors. Based on that, the effect of force changes. For example, if you apply more and more force, the effect of force will be more. Okay, so if you increase the force, if you apply more and more force, if you want to hit a stone, then if you are applying more and more force, then the stone can break up into two pieces. So here, what is happening when you apply more and more force, the effect of force is also more on the body. On the other hand, I want to keep the force F here is constant. I am applying a constant force but on different areas. So area is also a factor. Area is very, very important. If the same force is acting on different area, it gives different effects. So this effect of force which is acting on certain area is called pressure. So today we are going to discuss about pressure. What is a pressure? Pressure is the effect of force seen when it is acting on a unit area. Force acting per unit area is called as pressure. Again, I am repeating the definition. What is a pressure? Pressure is a force which is acting per unit area, on certain area, on a unit area. How much force is acting? That force on that area is called as pressure. So, pressure is represented with the letter P. Pressure is represented with the letter P. So, according to the definition, pressure is the force per unit area. Per in the sense denominator. So, I will write this as force by area. Force per unit area is called as pressure. It is not the force. It is not equal to force. It is equal to effect of force which is seen when it is acting on the area. Remember, because many times whenever we ask you to write down the definition of pressure, most of the times people are writing it is the force which is acting on a body. So it is not the force acting on a body, it is the force acting per unit area of the body. Then only we call it as pressure. The force may act on larger area, but that is not called as pressure. So out of this larger area, on unit area, how much force is acting, that is only called as pressure. Is that clear? So pressure is force per unit area. So how do we measure pressure here? Because it is the formula, the pressure formula is equal to force by area, and we know force is measured with a unit called as Newton, which is represented with a letter capital N, and area is measured with its SI unit, that is meter square or square meter. Square meter. So that is called as meter square. Okay. Since pressure is force by area, so the unit of SI unit of pressure, SI unit of pressure is equal to, force is measured in Newton, so Newton by meter square. So SI unit of pressure is Newton per meter square. This Newton per meter square is also called as Pascal, on the name of the scientist Blaise Pascal. On the name of the scientist Blaise Pascal. So whenever we give the unit on the name of the scientist, we have to write with a small letter. Generally units names are written with capital letter. Pascal is the name of the scientist. So generally we write the Pascal as capital P-A-S-C-A-L, Pascal, like this. But we have taken this name as the unit to measure the pressure. So because of the unit we have taken, so we have to write with a small p. P-A-S-C-A-L, Pascal, and the symbol is capital P, small a. Capital P, small a. So this is Pascal. Now from here we can write, since pressure is measured with a unit called as Pascal, and that is equal to force, that is Newton by area meter square. So Newton per meter square. So what is 1 Pascal? Then 1 Pascal can be written as 1 Newton by 1 meter square. 1 Newton by 1 meter square. So from this formula we can define what is 1 Pascal. Generally they ask you to write define 1 Pascal, or what do you mean by the unit of pressure as Pascal. Then you have to give the definition of 1 Pascal. So this is very simple definition. about this, you can frame your own sentences here. You can say that 1 Pascal is the pressure. 1 Pascal is the pressure acting on a body when 1 Newton force is acting on 1 meter square area or on an area of 1 meter square. When a force of 1 Newton acts on an area of 1 meter square, then the pressure on that body is called 1 Pascal. Clear or not clear? So I am repeating the definition again. What is 1 Pascal? Whenever we write down the definitions like this, always start with when. When a force of 1 Newton, is acting on an area of 1 meter square, then the pressure on that body is called 1 Pascal. So this is the definition of 1 Pascal. Clear? So today we discussed about pressure and its formula and its SI units, and also we have taken the definition of SI unit. Repeating, pressure is the effect of force seen when it is acting on a unit area, acting per unit area. That is called as pressure. Pressure is denoted with the letter P, and the formula to find out the pressure is equal to force by area. Since force is measured in Newton and area is measured in square meters, so pressure is measured with the unit Newton per meter square, also known as Pascal. So what is 1 Pascal? 1 Pascal is equal to 1 Newton per 1 meter square. So you should not write like this, you have to give the definition in words. So 1 Pascal is the pressure on a body when 1 Newton force is acting on a unit area or on an area of 1 meter square. So this is the definition of 1 Pascal. Clear? Now this is all about SI units. But not only SI units, we have many other units to measure the pressure. We have CGS units also. The CGS unit of pressure is like SI unit is Newton per meter square. So when you want to convert that into CGS unit, then Newton must be converted into its CGS unit. So what is the CGS unit of force? That is dyne. D by mv, dyne. Similarly, the CGS unit of area is square centimeter or centimeter square. Then obviously this unit, the CGS unit of pressure, becomes dyne per square centimeter. Dyne per square centimeter. If you want to do the conversions, you know how to convert Newton to dyne, you know how to convert meter squares into centimeter square. Then if you substitute those values, you can convert even Pascal to dyne per square centimeter. So these are about conversions. These are most of the times these are the units we use to measure pressure. But we have different types of pressures, like even fluid pressure we have, solid pressure we have. Generally, solids apply pressure, that pressure is measured with a unit called as Pascal. But in the case of fluids, we measure it with different units like atmosphere or bar. So these are the various units, and we will discuss about these when we discuss about this fluid pressure.